Welcome back to zebracode.io, a free coding curriculum for high school students. Now that we know how to navigate the command line, in Lesson 4, we're going to look at reserved words and basic data types. And we start off with the reserved words. And these are words that are exclusively used by Python, so you can't use them as variables. For example, true and false. That's a Boolean. We're going to learn about that more in this lesson. Also, we have if statements and else statements. We have loops, such as while loops. And we're going to learn all about this more in the upcoming course. But these are some reserved words, which I just want to introduce that you cannot use as variable names, and they are available exclusively to the Python interpreter. Now, once we get past reserved words, we can look at basic data types, and we're going to start by learning about 4 basic data types. They include string, integer, float, and Boolean, and we've already learned a little bit about string and integers, but these are the 4 basic types that we want to start off as we learn more about coding. This is where we're going to start off. Now, let's take a look at string first. String is very simply, as we used before, in greetings, any type of text. It could be a very long paragraph or even more than that. It can be more than a simple word, but in this case, let's look at some examples. We have greet is assigned the value of hello. We use single quotes or double quotes either way, but we just have to be consistent. In this case, we have x is assigned the value of 102. In this case, it's a string and not a numeric value. And we have name equals the empty string, and I'll often use the empty string, and that means double quotes with nothing in between or single quotes. And that's often used to initialize a string variable. We also have integer, and we've looked at integer before. We have my sum is assigned the value of 15. We might initialize an integer to 0. It might be x is assigned the value of 0. Our total is assigned the value of 100. Integers must be whole numbers. They can be, for example, 15 or negative 15, and they are often initialized to 0, but they cannot be something like 15.5 or represent any type of fraction. They have to be whole numbers or counting numbers, but positive or negative. Next, let's look at float. We have, for example, my sum is assigned the value of 15.0. Now, this can be any type of float. It's more precise numbers, for example, 15.9998 or 15.0001. Either way, it can be something more precise, and it's a floating value instead of a counting number or an integer. We're often initialize it to the 0. It could be x is assigned the value of 0.0. That initializes something to a float value. Finally, we have Boolean. Boolean is assigned the value of true or false, and we have 2 examples here. Is done is assigned the value of false. Now notice false starts with a capital letter. Similarly, answer is assigned the value of true. Again, true starts with a capital letter. Now we can check the type of any of these variables using the type command. Now Python is dynamically typed, so it takes a variable and it tries to make the best sense. Is this a string? Is this an integer? Is this a float? Or is this a Boolean? And we can always do the type command to check to see whether what Python thinks this variable is. Furthermore, we can convert between data types. If we use str in parentheses, we put any variable inside there, it's going to convert it to a string, or we can convert it to an integer using int, convert it to a float using float in parentheses, or we can convert it to a Boolean using bool. Now, we're going to go through some demos and highlight all of these examples and see how we can work with some basic code to understand data types and understanding converting between these basic data types, as well as understanding basic reserved words.